The news is not official yet, but Jawan Sider from Penn State is expected to replace Dylan McCullough as Notre Dame's new running backs coach. And to talk about this news, we have Landon Tangwall, who has some really interesting and specific perspective. We'll talk about that in just a second. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content. Landon, you are not only a Penn State analyst, but you also were recruited by Jawan Sider and then played at Penn State with Jawan Sider as your running backs coach. Now, Landon, of course, an offensive lineman, so was very worked closely with Sider. So, Landon, I'll just give you the floor. Let's start with the recruiting aspect. You told me in a text message that Sider was your guy. So, what is Notre Dame getting in the recruiter of Jawan Sider?
Yeah, I think first off, just to give background, he got to Penn State in 2018. That was going into my sophomore year of high school, so he was pretty much involved from the beginning of it. And right away, I mean, just incredibly first, he's down to earth, like really easy to talk to. He's the type of coach, he's going to mess with you a little bit. Like he's going to talk a little trash, like kind of like, and those are the best ones. Like the coaches that like don't do that. And it's kind of like awkward. And they're like, hey, how you doing? How's your girlfriend? And it's like that's not Sider. Like Sider's going to like Joan on you a little bit, be like, oh yeah, that girl you was talking to, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, that is, he knows how to talk to people, whether you're a recruit, whether you're on the team. And it just kind of has this feeling of like, okay, like I want to be around this guy. Like he is just a cool human being. Because I can promise you, obviously you guys got Marcus Freeman, who I think is pretty much the coolest head coach in all of football. So you're just adding to that. But there are many coaches out there that are not cool and are really like players do not like. And it's like, oh my God, this guy's talking again. Please, no. Like that's a real thing. So you are getting the opposite of that in Jawan Sider. Like I said, he knows how to relate to everybody. And, it doesn't matter. I guess that's a talent, whether you're talking to, you're talking to kids from all over. Obviously, he recruits very heavily down in Florida because that is, where his stomping grounds are. But really anywhere. I'm a big offensive lineman from Annapolis, Maryland, and he could connect with me, but he can also do that from the some kids down in South Florida too. So that takes, like I said, that is a talent to be able to recruit like that. Not a lot of coaches are able to do that. So just from his ability naturally to recruit. I mean, talk about we had a defensive lineman, Zane Durant, number 28. He told me all the time. I remember his official visit, and he was from Florida, so Sider was his area coach. And I remember him just constantly saying how much he loved Sider, and he wanted to come here because he got to communicate with Sider all the time. So it's a huge positive for you guys. And I'll just tell you, my initial, I got a text when I landed, and I just see, yo, what can you tell me about Sider? And I'm like, oh no, why is he texting me that? Open Twitter. And then there's the Pete Nakos tweet. And I'm like, damn it. So I can promise you, everybody was mad at Penn State for good reason, because he is such a great recruiter. And I will get to in a second, but such a great coach as well.
Let's talk about that. Like, what is Notre Dame getting in the coach?
Yeah, so this is what I would say. And, we actually did some really cool things where we would actually have the offensive line and running backs in the room together to watch film. That was something we actually did a lot here. And so I got to see him coach a lot. I will tell you, he's not – he's going to yell at you a little bit, like if you need it. Like he's not going to never yell. But it's a lot more strategic than that. He is a lot more of a put my arm around you and say, hey, listen, this is what we got to do. X, Y, Z. You did a good job there, but we got to fix this. Versus, what the hell are you doing? What the hell was that? And I can't tell you how much more just productive and just better it is to be the type of coach he is, to put the arm around you and actually talk to you and help you understand, hey, why you messed up. But the biggest thing for me that he does is he'll always give a little, he'll feed in a little positive reinforcement every single time. And that matters so much to me because, as I've said, I've been around coaches that don't do that and they just yell. And it gets so negative in your head where it's like, yo, this dude hates me. Like he's not, like he doesn't believe in me, like that type of thing. So it can get like that. But everything that I've been around with Jawan Sider, it's generally, like I said, can't always be positive. But even when it is negative, when it's him fixing something bad, he tries to sprinkle in like, hey, you did good with this, but this is what we got to fix. We got to do better on this next time. And so kind of just seeing that in the way that he is able to talk it out whenever we had problems, like especially, let's say we had a really bad day in blitz pickup. Like, we wouldn't always get together as an offensive line and running backs, but if we had a bad day in blitz pickup, and when we all broke from the team offensive meeting, we would just stay together. And he'd be like, look, fellas, we're going to fix this. Let's talk about this. So he was kind of getting up there, orchestrating, a little bit of, for the offensive line too, of what we need to fix. And I'm not sure if anybody's really familiar with this, but not this past season, the season before, we got rid of Mike Yurcich, our offensive coordinator, which was not too good. And so Sider took over. Him and Ty Howell, who's our tight ends coach, took over as co-offensive coordinators. But we saw a big uptick in our offense after that. Like, it was real flat, and it started to look a lot better. So, overall, I like his coaching style from what I've seen, but I am a huge fan of how he teaches. I think, teaching is coaching, and a lot of coaches don't understand that. Sometimes they don't understand they need to be a teacher. Juwan Sider fully has that down pat. And then on the flip side of that type of stuff, Mike, like, he'll have guys over all the time. He'll have them over for steaks. They'll be over at his house. Like, I'll tell you right now, we used to have an offensive line coach here before Trout, Line Grover. Like, guys told me, they're like, yeah, he didn't invite us over. And like, we got invited over once and we had to like stay in the garage. So like that means something, that he wants to open the house to his family. Like, I'll tell you, I don't know if anybody knows this name. Journey Brown was a running back here that had to medically retire due to his heart. He was going to go in the first or second round of that 21 NFL draft. He talks about Coach Sider like that is like his dad, like that is his family. That's how there was a couple of the running backs that looked at Sider like that. Like, he can be, I'm not saying everybody needs it, but like, he can be a father to a lot of these guys too, which I think, like I said, is invaluable. So in my opinion, we had some really great assistant coaches. And it's hard for me to say that he was the best, but like, I probably may have put him at number one, just because like what he meant, not only just like coaching, but to the players. When you have that love for a coach where it almost feels like he's your dad level, it's like you want to play for him. You want to go that extra mile. You want to score a touchdown and go hand him the ball afterwards and, say thank you and that type of thing. Like, it gets deeper than that. When you're just playing for a coach that you don't really like, it's like, okay, whatever. But he can kind of push you to that next level. And so obviously for that, I'm sad that we're losing that in Juwan Sider. You guys should be very happy you're getting that.
Just last thing, Glenn, and quickly, I want to talk about this. The development factor for him as a coach. I mean, the move from Penn State to Notre Dame is interesting because, I mean, he had, according to PFF's Max Chadwick, the number 3 and number 6 top returning running backs in college football. And he's now going to Notre Dame, where I know Jay Love was number 1 on that list. And then I don't know where if JD Price made that list, but that's a really good running back. It's a loaded room that Dylan McCullough left him. So yeah, I mean, he was at Penn State for what, like 2 or 3 times the normal shelf life of an assistant coach at a given school. So just curious real quick, Lander, for your thoughts on the job that Sider's done developing some of these running backs.
Yeah, I mean, he's done a fantastic job. If you look at his track record, obviously came in, let's see, I think his first year would have basically been Miles Sanders. Then I mentioned Journey Brown that he had developed. He was going to be a first or second. He was a top 3 running back, had to retire because of his heart. They found something. So you got that. And then his next 2 running backs were Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. So like, you look at his track record, it's like every single number 1 running back under this guy has done really, really well. So I think that's exciting from that standpoint. I guess for any fans that want to ask, like I said, of why he left, I think anytime you're somewhere also for 7 years and you're an assistant coach and you don't have like direct ties, sometimes there's these players that say, they played at Notre Dame or something. They come back around. It's like they just want to stay there. Like, we have a couple coaches like that. But Sider was Penn State, but he was not actually Penn State, naturally. So I think for him, a big piece of it, his son had played on the team. So his son was involved afterwards, kind of started coaching here, but also his daughters. They had, I think the last one is either in her senior year or pretty much graduated high school. So that's a big piece of it. Like, coaches don't want to move their families when you say you have 2 daughters in high school. Like, you're not going to do that to your kids, make them leave their friends, all that stuff. So in my eyes, I think Sider was kind of eyeing up that 25 off season, because it was like, hey, my family's finally kind of all done. I've been here for 7 years. I've done everything I can do. Let's go get a fresh start. You know what I mean? And I think it's one of those things too on your resume. I'm not saying at all he's trying to like get there and leave or anything, but on your resume, when you look and you like, oh, he's been the running back coach at Penn State and then Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I want that guy. That's a damn good track record. So it all kind of just, in my opinion, makes sense. And like I said, and as you said, he's stayed here way longer than a lot of people expected. So Penn State fans are a little salty because he's kind of leaving for a lateral position, and also you guys just knocked us out of the playoffs. So there's a little bit of that. I equated it kind of Marcus Freeman punching us in the mouth and then taking our girlfriend from us. That's what it felt like to me. I was devastated on the airplane. I'm like, man, what the heck? But no, truly, like I said, I think he was probably our best assistant coach, recruiting, coaching, and then like I said, there can't be enough stated about that relationship that he builds with the players. I don't know Marcus Freeman personally, but all the guys that I know that know him, it seems like that's going to fit in just right and be a part of a fantastic culture of what you guys got going on at Notre Dame.
Great stuff from Landon Tengwall. Follow him on Twitter at Landon_Tengwall. He will talk Penn State, but also just college football in general. So check him out over on Twitter. Appreciate you all for watching this video. Hit the thumbs up. And as always, we will catch you next time.